Hey everybody, Sean from PlanningFire.com here with the next video in our Generating Passive Income Side Hustle Making Money series. Welcome to part 2. This is going to be specifically related to real estate as a passive income vehicle. So we're going to talk about that, but please note, when I say passive income, especially in real estate, this is not truly passive income. There are ways to make it more passive, but in reality, you're going to be involved in some way, but it really isn't a huge time investment, and there's a potentially huge upside. So whenever we're talking real estate, we gotta have some sort of fundamental basics written down to be able to evaluate a property. I'll probably do an entire video on evaluating a potential rental market property, but for now, we're just gonna use some dumb numbers, made them up, just pulled something off of one of the many sites out there to look for real estate. So let's say, for example, the property cost is $250,000 a year, your taxes are $4,000 a year, the insurance is $1,200 a year, you put down 25% because this is strictly a real estate investment property, your total mortgage is now going to be $187,500 a year. So your total monthly payment with insurance and taxes included, $1,450 a month. Again, for dumb numbers, let's say this is a 3-unit property, each tenant is paying $1,000 a month. Very simple math. 3 tenants, $1,000 a month, you're looking at $3,000 a month. Subtract the cost of your rent or your mortgage with property insurance and taxes, and you get a grand total of $1,550 a month. That's a huge return on investment. Essentially, you're making almost $1,600 a month strictly for putting down the down payment. That's incredible. That's a return like you're not going to see in a lot of places. For example, the average savings account is making you 0.01% interest. So to get the same amount of return, you'd have to have an astronomical amount of money in a savings account. So that $1,550 a month is a return on investment of about 7% a year. You can do just as well in stocks and portfolios with bonds as long as the market is on an upturn, but in reality, this is almost a guaranteed income. Especially in a down market, rental prices tend to increase. Also, one huge consideration, just because it's $1,550 a month profit, what you have to take into account is there's also a large principal addition being made to the home in question. So basically, if 20% of your mortgage is a principal addition, that's equity that you're getting back on sale as well. So you're basically making money twice in that way. All right, now let's talk about the real truth behind real estate. If you're managing the properties yourself, it could be something where you don't hear from your tenants for an entire month, or it could be something where you hear from your tenants every single day because it's just a bad month. I've had both. I do have a few real estate properties, and I've had months where everything's good, it's fixed, everyone's happy, I'm happy, and then there are months where things just seem to be breaking left and right. That's the real problem with real estate. You have to be someone willing to really get down to business, take care of the problems, and do it the right way. There are plenty of people who don't, and they make tons of cash. But in reality, I would rather fix something correctly the first time, that way I don't have to spend more of my time fixing it again down the road. There's of course other risks. For example, if a tenant decides not to pay rent, most states have very protective tenant laws, which takes a long time for an eviction process to happen. You need to be able to float a bunch of capital in case there are multiple tenants or perhaps vacancies that are not there. So if you have a few mortgage payments because you own a few properties, but then all of a sudden they all leave, you need to be sure that you don't end up underwater and having to give the houses back to the bank and file bankruptcy. Those are all risks as well. And maybe the biggest and most obvious problem, if you own 3 houses. One house needs a new hot water tank, one house needs a new roof, and heaven forbid the other house needs a couple of appliances, all of a sudden you need to make up that huge payment so you can get your houses back on track. This is the kind of reason that you take that money, make sure you're budgeting appropriately. We'll talk more about that in that future video about assessing rental properties. But then of course there is the one way to make it even more passive. Once you own a couple of properties, you may consider hiring a property management firm. They're going to take some percentage of the rent, somewhere between 5 and 10% of collected rents. They tend to also handle evictions as well as vacancy fillings for you, and it makes this a much more hands-off vehicle to making additional side income. Of course, you're going to lose a lot of that principal, but if the numbers line up, this may be one way for you to make this entirely passive. The time investment in real estate can be almost nothing. Basically, I'm going to give this a rating of anywhere from a 1 to an 8. If you have a property management company, it's going to be closer to a 1. If you don't, it's probably going to be closer to a 4 or 5. It really depends. The potential income, anywhere from a 5 to 10 to a 10 out of 10, depending on where you are, what kind of deals you get. If you're someone who bought in Colorado in 2011, you're going to be making tons of money right now. If you're someone who buys in an area that loses its primary industry, for example, you may be making a lot less. It really depends on the location if you're choosing. And again, difficulty is 1 to 8. Once you have a good series of people under you, your realtors, your electricians, your plumbers, this gets much easier. But the first couple of properties, assessing them, making sure you're getting the right deals, that's where it gets very difficult. Overall, disclaimer, I do own a few properties, as I said previously. It's important to note That's where my bias comes from. They've treated me quite well, but this is one method of passive income. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. I'd love for you to subscribe as well. I'll be releasing more videos related to making side income. And until next time, I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much.